Lube Plus is expanding to serve you better with more $15.99 oil changes. More service like oil changes, transmission flushes, even brake service. More choice. Pick from leading brands of oil and get more value with our $15.99 oil change special at our Windsor locations at County Road 42 across from the airport and on Tecumseh Road East. Visit lubeplus.ca for other locations and other specials. Lube Plus, where the plus gets you more.
Hi, I'm Jessica from Street Sport Television, and I'm here at Plug and Drive Electrify Your Ride at the Ottawa Gatineau International Auto Show. Plug and Drive is committed to accelerating the adoption of electric cars. Now, it's extremely evident that these cars are very beneficial to the environment, but could you please explain a bit more as to why I would want to buy a car? Like, how would this benefit me as an individual?
Well, Jessica, the very first benefit, of course, is that they're really fun to drive. One of the actual benefits of an electric motor is the fact that they generate 100% of their torque or twist from 0 RPM. So you're always the first one through the intersection if you want to be. But of course, one of the other major benefits, and the reason why we're doing all of this, is to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions that come from transportation. Cars, which most of them in Canada are located in the cities, are responsible for most of the greenhouse gas emissions in those cities and all that nasty pollution that you see downtown. As a matter of fact, I was just reading in the newspaper today that another city in the world has actually closed their downtown core to cars on an even days license plate, odd days license plate basis so that they can reduce that greenhouse gas emission from gasoline engines. So if you drove an electric car, there would be no emissions from your tailpipe. You don't have one. That's a great benefit, of course. And then, of course, you have to get that electricity from somewhere that's nice and clean. And so here in Canada, it's a very good story because British Columbia, Manitoba, Quebec, Newfoundland, they're all hydroelectricity, totally greenhouse gas free. And right here in Ontario, where this auto show is taking place, we use nukes, hydro, renewables, a tiny little bit of natural gas, not much. And so when you're plugging in your electric car here in Ontario, you're plugging into cheap, green, plentiful, actually surplus electricity at night.
So Plug and Drive is a non-profit organization. So let's talk a bit about where you get your funding and who you collaborate with and who your sponsors are.
Well, if you look at our pop-up banner over there on the other side of the display booth, you'll see that some of the very first funders for us came from the power sector. So if we were standing here talking about gasoline-powered cars, you might expect our funders to be Shell or Exxon or Petrocan or something like that. But of course, when you look on our pop-up, you'll see Ontario Power Generation, Power Workers Union, and some of the utilities around Ontario. So why would they be interested in promoting electric cars? And of course, the reason is they're looking for new markets for their electricity. You see, we have this problem in Ontario where we have this huge surplus of electricity at night. And sometimes we actually have to pay the Americans to take it off our hands. Now that's just nuts. Why would we do that? Like, why couldn't we use that power for something right here in Ontario? And so we think that maybe electric cars is a good new market for that electricity. So we solve a lot of problems when we do that. We soak up that extra electricity and we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions at the same time. It's a really nice story.
So is it cheaper to drive an electric car versus a gasoline-powered car?
Yes, it is. And of course, it's a bit of a struggle right now because last time I bought gas, it was about 89 cents a liter. So we know that gas is super cheap right at the moment. But I'm old enough to remember that gasoline only usually goes one way when it comes to price, and that's up. And so we just know it's going to go back up again. Even still, though, even at 89 cents a liter, it's still about 1/5 to 1/4 the price of driving electric as it is to drive a gas-powered car. So yes, it's good for your pocketbook as well as the environment.
So I understand that Plug and Drive is committed to accelerating the adoption of electric cars. So how do you plan to achieve this goal?
Well, because electric cars are so new, people are always afraid of change. But once they understand a concept or once they understand how an electric car might fit into their life, then they feel more comfortable in maybe going out and buying one of those cars. And so with about 60 odd events a year, Plug and Drive will bring the cars out to people through ride and drives, lunch and learns, auto shows just like this. And we bring the message out and answer all their questions about how an electric car might fit into their life. And then once they start to see how it works for them, it's not as scary and strange. And then with that understanding, they might be more likely to go and buy one.
Great. Do you think there's anything that you want to add or that we might have missed?
Well, again, I just want to encourage people to go take an electric car for a drive. I mean, they're smooth, they're quiet, they're powerful. Right here at the show, we have one of the granddaddies of them all, and that's the Tesla Model S. A private owner brought it out to be at the show here. And so, you're looking at a car that'll go 450 kilometers on $9 worth of electricity. It goes from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 4 seconds. It has a trunk in the front, a trunk in the back, and it seats 5 people in relative luxury. So I don't know, that's a pretty compelling argument to buy a beautiful electric car. Yes, it's pricey, but there are many other electric cars here at the auto show, at the Ottawa Gatineau Auto Show, that they could see. And so I encourage you to check them out and then go drive one.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.